Welcome to Rock Stars of Remodeling, a podcast presented by Pro Remodeler Media, where the best and brightest stars in home improvement share actionable insights with like-minded industry standouts like you. I'm your host, Drew Barto. I spent 13 years as the Director of Marketing for a replacement window and door company in Pittsburgh, where I learned a lot from some of the great minds in the home improvement industry. I aim to bring many of those voices to you on this show to help you gain more leads, close more sales, and boost your bottom line. Let's rock.
Hi, everyone. I'm excited to be joined today by Gary Cohen. Gary is the Vice President of Certified Contractors Network, or CCN. He is the mastermind behind the organization's revamped training platform designed exclusively for home improvement pros. Today, we'll learn more about CCN and how it's helping contractors grow their businesses. Gary, thank you so much for joining Rock Stars of Remodeling.
Drew, it's a real pleasure to be with you today. Thanks so much for thinking of me.
Oh, of course. I love CCN, and we'll get to talk a little bit more about my involvement with CCN in the past a little later. But before we get into that, I want to learn more about you, Gary. How did you get into this business? How did you get into the industry?
You know, I love that you asked that question, Drew, because on my podcast, I always ask every guest, how did you get into the contracting space? Because I know when you were 5 years old, you didn't tell your parents, I can't wait to be in the contracting industry. None of us did that. So my story is kind of different. So I actually spent 30 years, Drew, in the home improvement industry, but the DIY side of the home improvement industry. Okay. So I started my first 12 years, I was in distribution of DIY products to, I'm really going to date myself now, to mom and pop hardware stores in all the different communities in, America. And of course, that was a model back then because the big boxes didn't exist when I started my career. And so, but as you can know, things changed. And what I did is I migrated and moved my career into the supply side, as opposed to just being a distributor. I actually became a vendor. Okay. And what I did is I started sourcing private label products for Home Depot and Lowe's and Walmart and Target, you name it, Costco. If they're a retailer, I sourced for them. That was a 30-year career in the home improvement industry. And here's the discovery I made, Drew. I wasn't fulfilled. So at age 51, I walked away. I said to my wife, I hope you're okay with this, but I'm miserable. And I'm going to do something different with my life and touch people's lives. She was completely supportive. I became a certified executive leadership and career coach, had my own coaching practice, started coaching small business owners all the way up to Fortune 100 executives. To add to that, I became a clinical professor of business at the University of Maryland, where I got a chance to touch people's lives again, working with students, both undergraduate, MBA students, and even executive MBA students. And I did that for 11 years. And for 4 of those years, I was associate dean of the business school. And then, for family reasons, my wife and I decided to move from our home state of Maryland to Florida. So I retired. And so we pack up, we moved to Florida right in the middle of COVID, and I retired. But so I stayed retired for a little over 9 months, and I got a phone call from a person who I think you know, John Martindale. John
Yes.
Martindale is the CEO of Brothers Services. They're like close to $40 million remodeler based in Baltimore. And he said, Gary, I'm a partner in this company called CCN. I didn't know what CCN was. He told me what it was. He said, and, the other owner, Scott Siegel, who I also know, he said, we're busy. We own our own contracting companies, and they both have very successful contracting companies. And they said, but we need somebody to run the day-to-day of this company, CCN. And I was bored out of my mind. And I said, sure. I said, as long as I can work from Florida, because I'm not moving back to Maryland, I'm in. And so I've been loving it, Drew. I've been at CCN since October of 2021. I actually came to CCN in October with the idea that I would run our coaching program. And I was in that role for 5 weeks. And after 5 weeks, that's when they said, we'd actually just like you to run the company day to day.
Wow.
So that's what happened. So in early December of 21, I took over the day-to-day operations of the company. And here we are.
Well, so Gary, that's interesting background. But for those who don't know, and you mentioned CCN, what is Certified Contractors Network, and what type of contractors do you serve?
So CCN is, okay, I'm going to tell you, we're the leading training, coaching, and networking membership organization in North America. In fact, I don't even know of another membership organization that does what we do. You have other companies that train on things like sales or sales process or whatever, but there really isn't another company that does exactly what we do. So people become a member of CCN, and with their membership, they have access to trainings in every functional area of their business. So unlike a lot of other companies out there, we don't just train in sales process, we train in everything. So when someone becomes a CCN member, our mission is to teach them systems, processes, and best practices in every functional area of their business. So yes, we have a proprietary sales process that really works. We have a sales management process. And as you well know, Drew, because you came from a contracting space, sales management and sales are two completely different things.
Absolutely.
Very different skill sets. So we train on sales, we train on sales management, we train on best practices in contractor marketing, we train on every element of production. Okay, we train on operations, we train on financial acumen for contractors, managing by the numbers, capacity modeling and utilization. I mean, we are just comprehensive. Our curriculum is big. And then we also have one-on-one coaching programs that's not part of the membership. They can buy that additionally. And that's where we work one-on-one with a company in a specific area of coaching. I don't want to ignore the last piece because it's a really important one. And Drew, I know you were a part of this network, that you get this. There is no better network in our industry than this one. Every time a new conference starts, people are hugging each other and giving each other high fives. I mean, we're talking about this community of people who stick together, help each other out. So again, our training's amazing, our coaching's amazing, but I don't want to ignore the network because the network is powerful.
Gary, I can vouch for that. As you mentioned, I was with Energy Swing Windows, a CCN member, as the director of marketing for 13 years. And I mean, everything's valuable, super valuable. But I don't think there was anything more powerful than, rubbing elbows with peers in the industry who are having success at things that I'm still trying to work on, right? Getting to be in the room with those people and those minds is the most valuable aspect of it. But I did want to talk about that a little bit. You talk about your conferences and being in person. Is that your training, or do you also offer online trainings as well?
We train in 3 modalities. Okay, we train in person, face to face. We train streaming on Zoom, which is in live, and we also have self-paced learning. Okay, which you can do online. We have an LMS and we have courses online that you can take self-paced. We used to only train face to face.
Yeah.
And then COVID came.
Yep.
Okay. And of course, it was toast. We couldn't do it, right? So we quickly pivoted and started doing Zoom trainings online. And it really worked. But now that we're past that, we've reintroduced our in-person trainings, but we kept the streaming trainings as well. And we are adding more and more online trainings. So we have all 3 modalities. So we have one, there's no one size fits all. We try to create a situation that works for everybody.
Kudos to you guys for getting back to live trainings. And I know your conferences are all live. Can you talk a little bit about when, all those 3 conferences and when those happen throughout the year?
Sure. We have a winter conference that's generally in January. We have a spring conference. It's usually late April, maybe running into the beginning of May. And then we have a fall conference that's usually around the end of September. And we move the locations. This fall, we're going to be in Baltimore. It's September 28th to October 1st. So mark your calendars. If you'd like to come to our conference, all you have to do is go to our website, contractors.net. Again, you click the contractors tab, and then you'll see events at the top. Just click the events tab, scroll down to, it's called Elevate. Our fall conference the theme is called Elevate, and you can register there.
It's an amazing conference. All of them are. So thank you so much for sharing that, Gary.
My pleasure.
I have experience with so many of your programs, and Two that come to mind are your masterminds and your roundtables. Can you talk a little bit about those programs and what types of topics a member could expect to get and see in those groups?
Sure. So let's talk first about our owners mastermind. So our owners masterminds really haven't been around all that long. Okay, only the last year and a half or so. And what that is we have anywhere from like 6 to 8 owners in a group. And we have multiple mastermind groups because we want to keep it tight so everybody has a chance to participate. We don't want too big a group. So we break it out, and every group is led by an executive at CCN, somebody, and I have a group, and it's great. And so basically what the format is for those meetings is it's owners only. We get together twice a month for 75 minutes, and we go around the horn. And every owner talks about, here's the successes I've had since our last meeting. Here's initiatives that are working really well for me, because that way others can adopt initiatives that are working in the others. But everybody also talks about a challenge or 2 or 3 that they're dealing with. And we all put our heads together as a group and solve each person's challenges. Being an owner and an entrepreneur and an owner of a small business can be really lonely. It's lonely at the top. Okay. And you don't feel alone because you're able to bounce ideas off like-minded people who are going through the same things you're going through. And I love our mastermind sessions. I mean, it's just fun, but we have fun too. We tease each other, we make it fun as well, but we really cover a lot of great ground and we help each other's businesses. And I can't think of one mastermind where members didn't say, my God, this is actionable today for me and it'll move my business. So that's the mastermind. Okay, we also do roundtables. An owner's roundtable is something we do once a month. It's open to all of our owners. We meaning CCN, we generally pick a timely topic that is relevant for everybody right now. And at that roundtable, we'll just start talking about it. It's an interactive, open discussion with a lot of sharing. For example, one of them that we had in the last few months, and I know that you'll relate to this, almost every single member I know is complaining that digital leads are down.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's a challenge. All right. Well, we got to know how to deal with that challenge. If we have less leads coming in, we got to make the most of the leads we're getting. Okay. So at a roundtable, we sit and all these owners, we're all talking about the steps we can take, the things we can do, okay, to make the most of the situation. It's just so helpful. So that's the owners roundtable. But then we have functional roundtables. So we have a sales roundtable, a sales management roundtable, a marketing roundtable, an operations roundtable, a financial roundtable. And that's where we sit down and talk specifically about a topic within that functional area.
I'm amazed at how many members of CCN are active and they're talking to me and they want to know more. They're always active in learning. And I think that's the biggest thing. I actually met with I wrote a feature on NAHB's Remodel of the Year. People Come First Construction.
That was Rob.
Rob. And Rob Graves. And he cites CCN as a big influence, a reason for his growth over the last few years. And, it happens a lot. And so I know you're having an impact, but I think it's important now for those contractors listening and hearing about CCN, maybe for the first time or maybe for the 5th time. But if they're not a member yet, how can somebody go about joining CCN?
One, they can just go to our website, contractors.net. When you go to contractors.net, there are 2 buttons. You want to click the contractors button because we have a homeowners button because we also generate leads for our members. But if you click the contractors button, okay, there will be scroll down, there'll be a place where you can type in a form to get more information. And then we will follow up with you. We'll set up a call, really to just assess, is it a good fit? I mean, are we a good fit for you? Are you a good fit for us? Is this a contractor who really wants to take their business to the next level? Is this a contractor who really wants to experience, significant top line revenue growth, but also significant net profit growth? Yeah. Okay, because you know what I'm going to say to you, Drew? Here's what I think is really important for if all the owners who are listening to us right now. Okay, this is really important. If you are an entrepreneur, which you are if you're an owner, right? You're an entrepreneur, you own your own company. Your goal should not be to give yourself a well-paying job. Your goal should be to build generational wealth. wealth that can be passed on to your children and your grandchildren. Okay. And the problem is that, and this is no fault of any contractor out there, but I think you'll agree with me. The vast majority of contractors are great tradespeople, but most of them did not go through formal business management training. Knowing your trade's key to be successful in your trade, but you can't maximize your success if you're not running your business well. So in addition to going to our website, there's a lot of other things you can do. People can just send me an email and I'll direct them to the right place. My email is very easy. It's gcohen, that's GCOHEN @contractors.net. That's plural, contractors.net. If you want to be part of a really powerful network and really amass unbelievable tools to take your business to the next level, then you may have come to the right place.
Gary Cohen, everyone, Vice President of Certified Contractors Network. Thank you so much for joining me today and for sharing this wealth of information, Gary. I really appreciate you coming on the show today.
It's such a pleasure. Thanks so much for having me, Drew.
Thank you for listening to Rock Stars of Remodeling. As promised, there were some amazing takeaways that you can use to build a better business for yourself, your employees, and your customers. If you've got an idea for a future episode or a guest I should invite onto the show, I'd love to hear from you. And don't forget to follow Rock Stars of Remodeling on Spotify or SoundCloud, and click the like button on this episode. Until next time, rock on.